This is pre-algebra lesson 1-1, variables and expressions. A variable is a letter that stands for a number. For example, T, Z, or X. There are several letters we don't use because they look too much like numbers. We do not use the letter O. We do not use a lowercase l unless we make it script. And we do not use the lowercase letter I because that stands for the imaginary number system. Whatever you do with your variables, make sure they look like variables and not like some sort of an operator, like a multiplication sign or an addition sign, and not like another number. So be very careful with that. A variable expression is a mathematical phrase that uses variables, numerals, and operation symbols. For example, 3x plus 5 is a variable expression. Has a variable, has a mathematical operation symbol with it, like a plus, a minus, an addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division symbol. Variables are very helpful if you want to write an expression where part of that expression will stay the same over and over and over again, but another part of that expression might change. For example, how many miles you drive on 10 gallons of gas depends upon quite a few factors. The type of vehicle you're driving, the conditions that you're driving in, and how you drive. Whether you drive erratically or whether you drive very conservatively. So if you know you have 10 gallons of gas and you know the type of vehicle you drive, you can make an expression using variables and constants. For example, if m equals miles on 10 gallons, m divided by 10 equals how many miles you can drive. That would be a variable expression. And we're going to be working with variable expressions throughout this entire pre-algebra class, this pre-algebra session, the entire year. Okay, let's look at something. Identify each expression as numerical or variable. For variable expressions, you're going to name the variable. So all you're doing is you're looking at your expression. If it contains a variable, it has to be a variable expression. If it does not contain a variable and it just contains numbers, it has to be a numerical expression. Simple as that. So let's take a look at this first one here. 8 divided by x. Well, it has a variable x, so it has to be a variable expression. And our variable is x. Number 2, 100 times 7. Notice that's not a variable because if it's a variable, it would be right next to the number. It wouldn't have any spaces. So in this case, it's just numerical expression because all it has is numbers and or mathematical operators. 3d minus 34 plus 9. That has a variable. The variable is d, so it has to be a variable expression. So this is a variable expression, and my variable is d. And number 4, 54 minus 32. No variables, so it has to be numerical. Now, you can change a lot of word phrases into variable and numerical expressions, but only if you know what some of the mathematical words mean. It's helpful to know what mathematical operators indicate certain things. So, I have this little table for you. They're not all listed here, but the basic phrases that you will see that indicate addition or indicate subtraction or multiplication or division are listed here. For example, if you see the sum, the word sum, the sum of 2 and 4, that implies addition. If you say total, what is the total of 15 and 2? That means you're going to add them together. If I say 6 more than 5, that means you're going to add 5 to 6, which is going to be addition. Increased by 12 increased by 6, then you're going to know you're going to have 12, and you're going to add 6 to it. In addition to 6 is 5, that means you're going to add them together. Greater than sometimes means the greater than symbol, but sometimes indicates addition. He makes $8 greater than me, and I make $5, and you can figure out how much they were. Now, if something means addition, it's obvious that its opposite would mean subtraction. So the opposite of sum is difference, the difference of 6 and 5, less than, okay? 12 less than 6 is fewer. He has 5 fewer dollars than I do. Decreased by, take a 100, decrease it by 16, what do you have? Take away, that's the famous one you learned when you were younger. If I have about 8 apples and I take away 2 apples. And then less than. Again, sometimes people think of it as the less than symbol, but it also can indicate subtraction. Multiplication Most of the time, you're looking at two phrases, product and times. Once in a while, you'll get the word of. Ofs can sometimes represent multiplication as well, so I'll put that in there. But most of the time, it's product. Product is your mathematical term. The product is 6 and 5, which means 6 times 5. Okay? Or times, like 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 8 times is large. In division, you have quotient, that's your mathematical term. Quotient is the opposite of product, it means you're going to divide. You can have the word divided by. You can have things like put into equal groups, separate into equal parts. All of that implies division. Once you understand these words, you can make phrases. And you can take mathematical phrases, take word phrases, and change them into mathematical symbols. Let's look at this. 10 greater than a number p. This is something that's really, really important, and I always try to point this out. If you ever see greater than or less than, that means whatever comes after this actually comes first. If my brother is 3 years greater than I am, that means he was born first. He's older than I am. He had to come first. The word than kind of sets it off. So even though addition, the order doesn't matter, because I can say 3 plus 2 or 2 plus 3. Subtraction, the order matters. So if you get into the habit of every time you see greater than or less than, understanding that whatever comes after it actually comes first, then you won't make mistakes. So if I have 10 greater than a number p, that means p comes first, and then I'm going to add 10 to it. Not super hugely important with addition, but incredibly important with subtraction. 16 more than a number d. More than, again, implies addition, and it means whatever came after it comes first. I'm going to have d plus 16. Number 3, a number 7 times q means 7 multiplied by q. Since this is a pre-algebra class, we're going to do things algebraically rather than mathematically, which means 7 times q, no mathematical operator needed, or you can do 7 parentheses q. Do not use the little multiplication symbol. Okay? If you are going to use a multiplication symbol, what you should use is you should use the dot. And notice in each one of these, the number comes before the variable, because in algebra, we write the number before the variable when it comes to multiplication. That's just the proper way of writing it. Okay. Any 3 of those would be fine. Please do not use this. Okay. We're graduating out of mathematical symbols and we're into algebraic symbols. Okay. Number 4, 8 less than a number t. Here we go again. We have the less than, which means t actually comes first. Okay. T actually has to come first here, which means I'm going to say 8 less than a number t means t comes first, and then I subtract 8 from it. Okay. 5 says t less than a number 8, which is the exact opposite of what 4 says. So 5 says that 8 comes first, and then we subtract t from it. And notice how I put a little tail on my t's, so they do not look like addition signs. And last but not least, number 6 here. 4 times the quantity, 8 plus a number b. Okay, there's a couple of things going on here. 4 times the quantity. When you see the word quantity, quantity means whatever comes after that is grouped together. Okay? So I have this being grouped together. And if I'm going to group it together, I'm going to do just what I did on the board there, which is use parentheses, because that helps to group things. 8 plus a number b. Now that one doesn't matter the order because it doesn't say less than or greater than, it just says 8 plus a number b. So I have 8 plus a number b. But all of this quantity has to be multiplied by 4. So that everything gets multiplied by 4, you have to put it in parentheses. Otherwise, only one part of it will get multiplied by 4, and that will mess up the entire thing. So this is variables and expressions.